Are you ready to find out what a virtual assistant can do for you if you are an author or a writer? In this video, I'm going to break down all of the tasks and outcomes that a virtual assistant can definitely do for you, whether you are a fiction or non-fiction writer. And this is coming from someone who did used to run a publishing company startup way back in my early 20s. So I know what the publishing process looks like. And currently with my virtual assistant agency, 2XU, we do have a couple of clients who are authors as well. So I'm going to break down what are the usual tasks that their assistant does for them. First one, which is the most helpful one to be honest, is launch management, which is honestly just a little bit of project management of making sure that as you're going through the process of writing, editing, getting beta readers, going ahead and finding publisher if you don't have one yet, or even working with your publisher through the launch process, is essential because then you don't have to worry about that whole thing. So what that can look like is the moment that you finished your book, the assistant will be going ahead and working with your editor, to the beta readers, to maybe your agent that you might already have or not, or if you're doing more of a self-publishing route, then following through the process of submitting that to Amazon, submitting that to Apple Books, wherever you are publishing your books, all the way to working with your book cover creator. And if they're not managing your social media, working with the people who are going to manage your social media. So they're essentially a little bit of an in-between between, of course, yourself and the rest of the publishing team. So they're managing through, giving you updates of like, oh yeah, you finished the second round of editing. Oh yeah, these are the first 4 book covers that they gave us as a sample. Which one do you think? Or do you have any feedback or anything else you want to improve? It's essentially, like I said, a little bit of project management through the process to make sure from the beginning to the end, once the book is actually out and any post-launch things they need to do is going to get done because your assistant is basically managing the whole thing. Next is content editing and proofreading. And usually when we get a new client who is an author, that's one of the first things that they look at, like, hey, can my assistant be the one to first just go through my book before anyone else, so then it's a little bit cleaner before I give it to the editors. And honestly, that was actually my very first job in that publishing company that I did, so I enjoy that. I love that, mostly because I'm a big bookworm. But you can have your assistant be that first run through. So for example, for me, honestly, right now I'm also going through the process of editing my first nonfiction book at the moment, but I did have my assistant go through first, looking through things. She already said like, oh, I already corrected a few spelling or grammar mistakes from your first draft. I've already gone ahead and done that, which brings me even to the third thing that your assistant can do for you as a writer and author, which is content formatting, because I basically wrote my whole book on Notion. I needed it to be on Google Docs for my publisher, so then she moved everything on there, formatted it already, which makes my life easier. And like I said, at the same time, she was already editing as she went through. So that is something that you can definitely have your assistant go as a first run through of your book. So just make sure that things are a little bit cleaner. And then the cool thing about this is that you can also have them double check a few things, which brings me to the next task you can delegate to a virtual assistant, which is research and development. Is both times of as you're still writing the book, you just need a little research done. Your assistant can do that, and even afterwards, they can fact check and double check what information is in your book, especially if you are writing a nonfiction and you have certain data that needs to be verified. Your assistant can go ahead and do that as well. Your assistant, basically through the editing and proofreading and content formatting and double checking process, they can just make sure that the book is a little bit more prepped before you give it out to your editors. Next is community management. So whether you have a group of beta readers, or whether you have like a Facebook group of people who love your books, who love what it is that you write, you can have your assistant manage those groups, posting every single day, keeping up engagement, doing comments, making sure that people are hyped up right before a launch of a book, getting their feedback, doing contests, whatever that looks like for you. They can go ahead and manage different communities that you have. They can even go ahead and maybe even network on your behalf for like authors that you want to work with or authors you want to get a quote of. They can be the one doing some of those outreach to be able to bring more community into your group. Next is branding management. Let's say you don't have someone managing your social media. Your assistant can definitely take care of that, of posting, creating quotes, creating maybe reels or YouTube shorts that will entice people to want to read your books. They can also be in charge of your newsletter, for example, of grabbing your writing voice or learning how to write as you and then start writing your newsletter as if they were you, which honestly has already happened a ton of times for a lot of our clients, where their assistant basically picks up on how they write just because they've read a lot of their books. Of course, I've had really good conversations with them that the assistant has gotten to the point where no one actually even sees the difference between the author's writing and the assistant's writing just because they've gotten that good. And of course, as you're following through on your book launch process, the assistant is going through the rounds of promotion, maybe getting you on websites, maybe getting you on podcasts, maybe getting you interviewed in different places. That is definitely something that your assistant can do as they're managing your brand. Next is a little bit of book reviews management. So depending on what this looks like for you as an author, you can have, like I said, your assistant go ahead and outreach to people who would want to review your book to be able to find maybe influencers. I'm very much on Book Talk of finding people who has your audience to be able to promote your book. It could also be responding to comments on Goodreads or on Amazon whenever people have questions or when they have feedback on your book as well. So keeping up that engagement. So whatever that looks like, keeping people engaged from the launch of one book to the next book is something that your assistant can definitely do. And finally, and honestly, this was the biggest thing for me as I'm wrapping up my nonfiction book, is writing accountability. So for me and my assistant, I had this goal every single week of how many words or how many chapters I wanted to hit, and every single week she would ask me and I would have to be accountable because she was checking in on me with it and making sure that I did some progress in some way to move it forward. And it's a little thing, but honestly, when you are a creative and at the same time, at least for me, I'm running a whole business as well, it's a little bit hard to kind of make sure I have enough creative juices throughout the day. But with my assistant becoming that writing accountability for me, I have a little bit of a push to make sure that I've written at least one chapter or 100 words or whatever it was. That was our agreement at that time for me to be able to just do it because I know that someone else is gonna check in on me. So if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below any tasks that you think you want to give to an assistant but you're not sure of. Let me know and I would love to respond. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!